How's it going, guys? Here we are with season C2GS Draft League's Season 0 Week 4. This week we are going up against Scribble, who is actually the host of this league and boasts an undefeated streak of 3-0, whereas we are 2-0. This is the only other undefeated player in the league, so this is definitely going to be a very uphill battle for this one. Truthfully, I'm not expecting it to go that well, but I think we made an overall really good team, and we're not gonna go out without a fight. And to take a look at the fight that we're bringing with us, first up we have Vision the Slowbro, as always, with a fairly standard set of Scald, Psychic, Protect, and Slack Off. This is gonna be our primary Lopunny switch in. I'm fairly sure it's not gonna come, but just in case it is, it's good to have this. It really does not do that much to Mega Slowbro at all. A set that would be scary though would be something like Fake Out, Return, High Jump Kick, and Toxic. Every time I end up bringing this thing, it always gets Toxic really early into the battle, and it's really annoying because it essentially drastically reduces its viability, and I really don't want to get Toxic like that. And I feel like if Lopunny comes, I feel like it could be having Toxic as a fourth move to anticipate the Slowbro switch in, which would be pretty bad, but hopefully we have plans to alleviate that. If a Lopunny had like Endeavor or something, that could be rough. Maybe a power-up punch set could be sort of threatening, but it really does not do that much damage to Slowbro at all. It would need a lot of setups in order to be a problem. This thing also serves as a relatively decent Crocodile switch in. It's actually my most consistent Crocodile switch in, despite having a weakness to Dark. Um, a Jolly Choice Scarf Darkest Lariat does 47 to 56% to Slowbro, but it does 32 to 38% to Mega Slowbro. If it's like Life Orb or Bandit or something, it's going to be doing a lot more. Um, but there's honestly not that much we can do about this. If my team does not handle Crocodile that well at all. So I made a lot of like almost all of my Pokemon are made with Crocodile in mind because of just how overbearing and threatening it is to my team. Um, so yeah, and that's part of why we have like such high defensive investments, is because we want to be taking as little as possible from Crocodile. It's also an okay Infernape switch in. If it's a physical Infernape set, then it walls it pretty well outside of like U-turn, which still doesn't even do that much, maybe a little less than a third. Um, but a special set, it's slightly worse against. If it has like Grass Knot and it's like fully specially invested, it's an easy 2-hit KO, but otherwise I can wall it relatively well. If I had to make a guess of what kind of Infernape set I'm expecting should it come, probably 3 special attacks and then Gunk Shot for like Aromatisse or something like that. That's like kind of what I'm expecting from Infernape. Our 80 special attack EVs, it reaches a certain offensive benchmark. Um, Mega Slowbro is able to KO Mega Lopunny with Psychic on 15 out of 16 rolls. It also one-hit KOs Crocodile with Scald on 9 out of 16 rolls, and it's always able to KO Infernape with Scald or Psychic. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change this to Psyshock, just because it hits Florges slightly harder, and it doesn't make that much of a difference otherwise. So I'm actually going to change this to Psyshock. It doesn't hit that much as high of an offensive threshold in Mega Lopunny, but I still think that 80 special attack is like a good amount to have. Maybe I'll increase this slightly between the Teambuilder and the actual battle. I'm not sure. And the reason why we have Protect here instead of something like Teleport is it's mainly honestly just to kind of scout move sets, maybe to see if something has a cheeky Toxic on it. Maybe we can avoid that, and so we don't get Toxic again like every single game. I really want to go one game without this getting Toxic, but maybe my opponent won't let that happen. We'll see. Next up, we have Zeraora, our current MVP, actually. It's really been popping off in the last few matches. We're bringing the Choice Scarf set once again. I'll get into why later, but this thing is pretty much our only offensive check to Suicune. We could also have, like, an offensive Hitmonchan with Thunder Punch, but in the end, I decided that Zeraora set was better. I think it hits harder. It does 71 to 84 to a Vincoon set, without any defensive investment, and it's still a 2-hit KO on like a fully physically defensive like Crokun set. Um, However, the unfortunate truth is if it burns through the Scald, it's pretty much a game over, I think, because it can just rest it off or like heal it with like leftovers to protect. Um, so this is like kind of a problem, and we really have to like play around that well. This thing also switches in really easily to Rotom. The only thing that it fears is Toxic and Will-O-Wisp. It resists the flying type attacks, and its Volt Absorb ability lets it absorb any electric type attack. So it offensively, it switches in really well. Besides, like Shadow Ball doesn't even do that much, I think. Like getting burned or poisoned would be like really bad though, so I kind of want to avoid those. And the reason why we have Choice Scarf is, again, because of the Crocodile. If it's like a Scarf Crocodile or something, and it's setting up like Moxie boosts like crazy, um, Scarf Crocodile outspeeds his entire team, even with an adamant nature, with only 100 speed EVs. It outspeeds everything. The fastest he can go is a Scarfed Infernape, and we just barely outspeed that. And adamant nature close combat, it almost always KOs Crocodile. It's like 10 out of 16 rolls. And if it's Life Orb or something, then it'll die through the Life Orb recoil. The reason why we have a lonely nature here instead of an adamant nature, we have defense reducing instead of special attack reducing, is because it makes Volt Switch very slightly stronger against a Weezing. It really does not matter that much, but I figured like, Volt Switch is probably my best way of hitting Weezing besides like Thunderbolt. I just decided that the slightly extra power on Volt Switch is probably a good thing overall. Close combat is also our best way to hit Lantern. This thing does get Grass Knot, I think, but it doesn't do that much to Lantern. It's not heavy enough. This does about 43 to 51% to especially defensive Lantern, which is not a lot at all. But if we happen to get a chip, then that could be a good thing. It's not reliable at all, though. Knockoff is just a good utility move, and it also hits Mesprit, Delmise, and Aegislash pretty hard. And yeah, that's about it. The rest of our EVs are in special defense because I'm expecting most of my opponent's sets to be special oriented because of how physically defensive my team is. Next up, we have Aromatisse, and we're going with a full Cleric set this time, where we have one offensive move in Moonblast, and then the rest of it is support. Because of like, there's like a lot of ways that things can go wrong because of status, like Vision getting Slowbroed, or Vision getting poisoned, excuse me, or Thor getting poisoned or burned and stuff like that. Things can go really, really south if that happens. So I wanted to bring a full Cleric set with Wish, Heal Bell, and Protect, just to try to keep my team nice and healthy. We have Aroma Veil to protect us from things like Taunt or Encore. And the defensive benchmarks that we've reached is a Jolly neutral Crocodile. Earthquake is a 2-hit KO. And a return from a Mega Lopunny is also a 2-hit KO. A Sludge Bomb from a 0 special attack Weezing is a 2-hit KO. And then we put the rest of our investment into defense, just to tank hits from things like Crocodile slightly better. Or maybe if they have like Flare Blitz, Infernape, or something like that. We have Heavy Duty Boots because immunity to hazards is really good. This thing doesn't really appreciate switching in on hazards that much because having to waste turns healing is just a huge momentum drain, so I want to reduce that as much as possible. And this team actually has very minimal hazard control at all. Actually, we don't even have any hazards at all this week. I had trouble fitting them on my team, and I didn't think that they were worth bringing, like given the amount of other things that I had to bring. So yeah, that's basically it for Aromatisse. Next we have an Assault Vest Rose Raid. This is going to be our primary Aegislash switch in. I'm fully expecting a special set, again, because of the physical defense, like the very large physical defense that I have on my team. So I'm expecting either a Choice Specs Aegislash or something like Sub-Toxic with special defense investment. This thing takes around a third from a Spec Shadow Ball from Aegislash. And if it is sub-toxic, we still do relatively well against that. We can't get toxic because of our poison type. We still do prefer facing a Choice Spec set, though. I think, given if it has like especially defensive and it's King Shield, then Hidden Power Ghost isn't quite strong enough to be outweighing leftovers and King Shield, especially since it's always going to be in shield form when I attack it. So we don't do as well against a sub-toxic set, but I think we do fairly well against the choice spec set. And we have Hidden Power Ghost here, and it one-hit KOs Aegislash in its blade form. Um, and I decided that the reason why we went with Hidden Power Ghost is, okay, there's 4 types that are super effective against Aegislash, right? There's Dark, Fire, Ghost, and Ground. There's way too many Pokemon with Levitate for Ground to be effective, and Fire only really hits Aegislash and Delmise. Ghost and Dark both hit Aegislash, Delmise, and Mesprit, but the problem with Dark is that it is both Ghost and Dark are resisted by Lopunny and Crocodile, but Dark is also resisted by Florges and Infernape. So in the end, I decided that Ghost was the best bring for this team. 100 speed EVs allows us to outspeed any Aegislash. I kind of wanted to make it so that it underspeeds any Aegislash, but I couldn't make that happen. Roserade is just a little bit too fast for that. Because if I was slower than Aegislash and I was able to hit it in its blade form, that would be better, but I don't think I can guarantee that. So I decided I'm just going to outspeed it first instead. If it is a choice spec set, then I can outspeed it and KO it after it goes for an attack, after I switch into an attack, excuse me. And yeah, Giga Drain is just like a little bit of recovery because we don't have any natural recovery outside of Aromatisse. Sludge Bomb hits things like Florges kind of well. Not really that great, but it hits it kind of well. And then Leaf Storm is just if we need like a super strong nuke option. Or if something's low and we need to kill it or something like that, right? Next up is Melmetal, our Iron Man. This thing is kind of my only way of bringing Florges. Ooh, sorry about that. Unprepared today, huh? But yeah, I wasn't gonna bring this originally. This was originally a Hitmonchan, but I realized that my team didn't really have a way to beat Florges, so I kind of figured that I had to put this on. We have Double Iron Bash because we have to. Earthquake hits Lantern, which is like the most obvious switch in for Melmetal. It also kind of hits Aegislash. Thunderwave is good for like crippling a lot of threats. If we can get a Thunderwave off on something like Lopunny or Infernape, that would be pretty huge. Unfortunately, we can't hit the Crocodile with it because it's a ground type, but I would really, really love to. And Ice Punch is really only for Rotom. I was tossing and turning between a couple moves for this. I thought about Rock Tomb for like utility of slowing things down, but eventually I decided on Ice Punch just because it is stronger because of the Iron Fist ability. We don't have any item on this Melmetal, and originally this was leftovers, but in testing, Delmise proved to be pretty threatening because I didn't have any good switch-ins for it, and Poltergeist was doing a lot of damage. So we went with no items so that we're immune to Poltergeist and its other 2 stabs. Earthquake does like around a third. If it's adamant, it actually no, I'm sorry. If it's adamant, it does like almost half before any like item effects. But I feel like it would be really hard for it to squeeze Earthquake into its moveset. We'll see. We have 60 speed EVs, so that we outspeed a neutral speed Delmise by 3 points. And we have full offense just to maximize our damage, and then the rest is in HP so that we can minimize the amount that we're taking from Delmise. So yeah, that's Melmetal. And then last but not least is Charizard. This is a bit of an interesting set. We have a specially defensive, fully specially defensive Charizard with Roost. This is our only ground immunity, so Crocodile is going to be like wreaking havoc on this team with Earthquakes and stuff like that. And this is our only switch into that. The problem with this is Crocodile, of course, can have Rock Slide, which would be a pretty big deal for this. But the main purpose of this is it's a pretty decent Aegislash switch in if it's a sub-toxic set. Assuming we're able to dodge the toxic, we can switch it in, presumably on a sub. Then we can get our own sub up to block its toxic, and then we can threaten it out with Flamethrower. Shadow Ball does around a third to us, and we can outspeed set up a sub on the toxic, excuse me. And we're fully specially defensive so that Shadow Ball does not break our substitute, and then we can scare it out with Flamethrower. Originally, we were going to have Scorching Sands for Infernape, but then this gets completely walled by Rotom, and it was just overall not that strong. And I think it doesn't break Aegislash's sub. And we have Roost for Sustain, and then Defog on this is our only hazard removal, which is why we have the heavy-duty boots. This is the only hazard removal on our entire team. Our opponent doesn't really have like the best as far as like hazard setters are concerned. It's Mesprit is kind of the best one, and then besides that, it's kind of conditional. So hopefully, like, the hazards aren't that big of an issue on our team, and we can just defog them away if we really need to. And yeah, max special defense. We have 252 speed EVs with a neutral speed nature. This just barely outspeeds any Rotom fan. And then we put the remaining in special attack just to make this slightly stronger. There wasn't anywhere better to put it. But yeah, that's the team. Really, really scared for this one. Not 100% sure if we're gonna come out with a W. I don't. If I had to guess, we would probably come out of this with an L. But we're gonna fight hard for it. So we're not gonna make it easy for him. That's the idea. So yeah, that's the team. Tune in tomorrow for the replay, and yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching.